Good evening and welcome. Welcome to Fight CPS and Stop Taking Our Children. Excuse me. I'm your host, Bob Pace, and I want to warmly welcome you to a live stream that we could talk about CPS. Your problems with CPS, my problems with CPS, and how we can help one another. Now, I've been doing this now for 17 months. I started October 2023. And I'm on Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. in the morning Pacific Standard Time, and then on the weekend at 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Those are 1 hour live streams. And then in the evening, I'm on at 7 o'clock every night of every day of the week, Monday through Sunday, for 1 hour Pacific Standard Time. Now, that's 14 live streams I do a week, and I've been doing that month after month, year after year. And so there's a lot of material that you can see. It's been all pre-recorded, so you can see one of my older live streams or whatever, and you can see there too. But this is a place where you can get help and ideas about how to protect your children, how to get your children back, how to avoid the pitfalls of CPS, because you'll find out that CPS is a very terrible organization from experience. Now, I'm talking about over the 1,000 people I've talked to, not only from the United States. I've talked to everybody from every state in the Union. I've also talked to District Columbia, but I've talked to 21 countries, from Indonesia, Bangladesh, India, the Middle East, over to Africa, then up to Europe, and then to North America, all the way down to Mexico, and then down to South America, above South America, Grenada, in South America, then over the Pacific to New Zealand and Australia, land down under. But anyway, it's a lot of people, and they all have something in common. Some of them experienced some heartaches at the beginning financially, and that's what seems to take them down here. But I'm here to help you. Now, it's the regular people that come to my room on a daily basis, some twice a day. One of them is Livingston. Welcome, Livingston. It's good to see you. And I always thank you for all the prayers and so forth. He has a case in LA, California, LA County, and his attorney is Mr. Davis, who was my attorney too. He's a really good attorney. Good evening, Margaret. Glad to see you. She's from Kern County up in California, and welcome to see her. And she got her criminal charges dropped. She also has Vincent Davis as her attorney. And so she got rid of the criminal charges, and they were dropped. So there's good things that do happen. And I know I try to offer anything I can do to help you guys. I want to make sure you're helpful in there and so forth. So listen, thanks for all the hearts and the prayers. They're really good. They're really good. Now, if anybody would like to call in, here's my number. Wait a second. I have to hit cancel because it thinks I'm editing it. Yeah, there's my number. That means my room's live. You can call in at 626-698-0990. Now, the other number you see there, 888-888-6582, is my attorney, Vincent Davis's office. And there you can reach Mr. Davis, and you can speak to him directly or hire him. Also, he has other attorneys you might need assistance in criminal law, divorce, real estate, all the disciples of whether there's a law there and so forth. And Mark is asking, do you have a Facebook page? Yes, I do. My Facebook page is The Secret How to Fight CPS no, that's not it. Sorry. Where is it? Is it here? No. Well, I did have a Facebook page. I'll try to find it here. It was here. Yeah. Fight CPS with Bob Pace. You'll find me on Facebook, Fight CPS with Bob Pace. I'm in my coat and tie, look very presentable. And yes, I do. And I appreciate you going to it at all about that. That sounds great. Um, well, thank you, Livingston. You mean a lot to us. I'm glad you're here with us too. You guys are all warriors. So, okay, thanks. All right, Margaret King. That's my Facebook page, and it's Fight CPS, and that's how most people find me on this podcast. Excuse me, on this live stream. This live stream, Um, now, the number I gave you, the Attorney Vincent's office, is good for books and when people on and so forth. So you have two numbers there. Now, I don't want to forget that it's an interactive live stream, and you can please text me a comment or a question about your CPS and show your first name, your city, your county and state, and of course your country if you're outside the country. Tell me about your case, start from the beginning and where you are today. That way I can help you. Now, that is to text in a comment. Another way to be interactive is to be a guest on the live stream. So email our show producer, Grace, at Vincent W. Davis with a date and time you want to be on our show. So you just pick a time, morning or afternoon, morning or evening. And your days are Sunday through Monday. It's every day of the week. And so you have 14 to pick from. So all you do is email Grace at vincentwdavis.com, and she'll definitely get back to you how to get on, and she'll give you tips and so forth, what to say during the live stream and what not to say and those kinds of things. So they do a pretty good job there. Now I'm going to put it back to my phone number there. Leave that for a while. Now I'm trying to support our channel. So there's all kinds of different ways you can support it. $5 to support the channel, 10 to get questions answered privately via text by Attorney Vincent Davis, 15 to get questions answered privately via the phone by Attorney Vincent Davis, and $25 to text. I think thing like that. Now, I'm missing some banners here, but we have his website, vincentwdavis.com, or the Sand Store /attorney VWD. And on the Sand Store, you can find books that he has written for reference. One of the newest ones out is a grandparent guide to step by step to get your grandkids adopted. And so that's a really good guide. It's $9.99, but I have a discount if you use PACE, PACE, all capital letters, 50. You get 50% off the $9.99. So that's something to think about there too. So we have a lot of things we're pushing your way. We just like some response from you all. We want to help you with your endeavors and so forth. Now, Margaret further says, I am tired of being told, I'm tired of being tired, Bob. I'm holding on to a wing and a prayer there's no way to fight with the entity about the right attorney. Is there something wrong with Mr. Davis? I know he's your attorney. So you said you're tired of being tired, and I'm handing it onto a wing and a prayer. I meant to say there's no way to fight this darkness with the entity about the right attorney. What you're trying to say, Margaret, is if you don't have the right attorney, it's pointless trying to fight. It's so hard. That's one of my rules. I have 5 rules. One of my first rules is get an attorney. And when you get an attorney, you have to find one that is trained and licensed in juvenile law, family law, and dependency law. That's the key to it. And one that's had the experience of fighting CPS. Vincent Davis is that kind of attorney. He has his experience. He's fought and got many kids back. Not only that, he's a trial attorney. Plus, he's also got the he's also got savvy to do a lawsuit, meaning that if the case is over, he'll sue them. And he's won back millions of dollars with beating CPS up. CPS can be approachable, but you need a licensed attorney in the areas of juvenile law, family law, and dependency law. You see, you have to understand, dependency law is very corrupt. And you don't know which ones are good, which ones are bad. Also, all the people, ombudsperson and the other people that are there that assist families and children are really just listening ears for CPS. You got to be really careful what you say. You got to be really careful what you say. Now let's see what Margaret says. Okay, thanks. I'm tired of being tired, Bob. I'm holding on to my wing in prayers. There's no way. I need to say there's no way to fight this darkness without the entity about the right attorney. No, there's nothing wrong with Mr. Davis. I wouldn't be able to do it without him. The whole ordeal is very exhausting. I apologize. My spell check is acting up again. It's okay, Margaret. I get these days too. All you that are listening, I was thinking about the live stream tonight, and every live stream I have to get up. And it reminds me of my daughter that was stolen from me by CPS workers. They had committed perjury and lied, and my attorney, Vincent Davis, caught them in their lies. But I don't know if the statute of limitation or where I wanted to sue them was the wrong thing done. I still don't know. So maybe the guy could speak up about the differences. Okay. Mental fatigue. Yes, I agree with you. For all that you're listening, I do 2 things for Mr. Davis. One, I'm on here on a regular basis trying to help you guys get help handling your CPS case. And the other thing is I make phone calls in the morning hours from 8 in the morning to 10 o'clock and from 11 o'clock to 1 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, where I talk to people that want help about their CPS case. And a lot of times the money isn't quite there, or they're trying to do something they don't quite understand. So it is hard. It is hard having a company over that company that the social worker is recognizing. Now, every week I work hard doing these calls before my live stream and after my live stream. And I'm trying to make a nickel out of all this, and it's very low income. It's Bangladesh wages, you really want to know. But I care more about you people than trying to make a buck. But every week I go through the begging part of getting paid. I work so hard to make it different, so hard to be responsible in my um, I don't know what to call it, but anyway, I'm glad that we can air out the things that are different or so forth. Now, you as a small animal, you have it pretty well made because I don't think CPS is interested in taking something from you. But so it is discouraging. I know, Margaret. You know, I have to relive my case every time, and also how the CPS retaliated and took my daughter, who's 22 now, took her at 12 because she had committed perjury and we had caught her and she wanted to retaliate. That's what's the shamelessness about CPS. CPS, you need people that are trained to fight them. You need to know someone that knows the laws. Now, I've invited some people for the morning show to be here. I hope that the girl from San Diego, I think her real name is Lisa, but she's called Little Nugget. Hope she comes on, but she has some things to finish. Also, have a couple guys. I hope they're there and they can come on too. Yes, it's so hard to go through it. I mean, Margaret, I relive it every day. I talk on the show twice a day. I think about the mistakes I made by trusting CPS. You know, my rule number two is that you need to document everything. You got to make sure you gather everything up and document. And one of the most important documents is called the incident log. It's where you write down all the incidents that have happened. And um, you want to use a piece of notebook and allow yourself 3 lines. The first line you put down where, you know, the location, and then when, the date and time, and then summary, the second line of what the situation was about, and the third line, the outcome. There's no outcome, leave it blank until you get one. But I can guarantee in 6 months you'll forget so much. So this instant time log is an easy way to keep track of the police, the social services, the school people. Now I invited some people from this morning to come on tonight to finish up the story, but you got to see them come on. Hi, Chew Baby. You're at your river house in Virginia. Well, that sounds like a nice place. Nice place there.
Yeah, I'll be back. I have to go.
Now, this is hard decisions that you're making, but what you want to do, you want to emphasize how important your family is. That's why you're involved. That's why you're here. If you didn't care about your family, you wouldn't be here. And it's really hard and difficult what you go through. Well, Livingston social workers are made up of strange people. So I agree with you on that. Now, I've talked about rule number 1, which is get an attorney. Rule number 2 is the documentation. Well, rule number 3 is you don't allow them in your home. You don't talk to them. If you have a CPS case and you're outside, just be very nice to them, take notes, and then you say you got to have your attorney present before you make any decision. So don't commit to anything. Okay, now, also, if you encounter a social worker or police outside, do not discuss anything with them. Be cordial to them. That means be nice to them. But tell them you need to have your attorney present to discuss things. That's what you need to get. It may take you some time to get an attorney. If you don't have one, it does take you time. And you need to look at the kind of attorney you need. One that deals with social services and one that deals with a lot of other actions that you need to decide as a parent. And it is hard. It is hard. Now we're going to the halfway mark, means I have a half hour of my show. My number's been up there. You're welcome to call in. Some of you said you wanted to today. And I'd love to hear from you and answer your questions. My number is 626-698-0990. And it's great if you want to be in there. Now, if you call in or a guest on my live stream, you are eligible for a free 15-minute Zoom conference call with Mr. Davis. He will actually talk to you and help you through your case. So, okay. It's kind of slow tonight. I'm trying to generate some excitement. It helps with people call in and ask questions. If you call in or a guest, you're entitled to a free 15-minute one-on-one conference call with Vincent Davis on Zoom. That's all you have to do is to talk on my show or call in. Those are two ways you interact with the show. And another part of that rule number 3, where you don't talk to CPS or soldiers, that's so important and so true, because you don't talk to a stranger, and they are a stranger to you and your family. That talk you take is a lot different. Okay, now we have Margaret has a long message here. I still have to go through the hoops of CPS recommendations. I had a biased judge. He was horrible. So was my judge, Margaret. I have to comply with the court order. I'm seeing the CPS people. I'm thinking also seeing my private people. Now, I never trust what CPS says or recommends. You're true. They cannot be trusted. I really strongly recommend that you do not trust CPS. Listen to the whole message here. There's a lot of important things that are on this earth that are pointing towards that. So we got to keep in touch. Okay, now what I'm seeing here. Yes, you definitely can't trust them. What they say or what they tell you to do. They cannot be trusted. You got to be really careful of them. Really careful of them, Margaret, because they do lie. As I say, CPS is just as hard as open heart surgery. They require a special degree, and that's what the attorney has to have in, with years of experience of fighting CPS. And that's the only way I could really see a degree, or they could save each other. Now, Chew Baby asks a question. Can you submit the documents to the court? The attorney submits the documents. If you're pro se and you're doing the case yourself, you present the documents. Look up how to do a 388, and you can look up there, because right now there's some serious people our age that are having trouble with their attorneys. So it's really important that you cross over. Hi, Brandy Lee. Welcome. Good evening. Brandy is from Wyoming, and she's a grandmother fighting CPS. Yes, her grandchildren are the victims of CPS. So I'm glad to have you here, Brandy. Thank you for calling tonight or dropping in. Now, I have been talking about to not talk to social workers. Don't let them in your home. Also, if you're outside and you encounter them, bring in Mr. Davis. Say that you got to have your attorney present. Do not do any further work unless it's assigned by Mr. Davis and you have the address. So that's really, really important there. Chew Baby from from Virginia, Richmond, Virginia, said, "I didn't ask that. I said only seek private services that can submit documents." Okay, all right, okay. Maybe I misunderstood you, Brandy Lee. Anyway, Brandy Lee's her grandmother fighting for her grandchildren, and she's from Wyoming. Now, Chew Baby says you don't have to see any person that CPS recommends, as long as the private party can hold up in court, and there is a reason to use the people that recommend, not just make sure that you got your private parties. Chew Baby further says you can submit documents to the court. Yes, you can. Okay. Now, even you see, can submit to the court, and if they suggest services, don't go looking for them. Only entangles you further in the court process. Well, if it's court ordered by the judge, you have to follow with those court classes. So that is important to do, Chew Baby. Now, Margaret says, even if the judge orders it, right, CPS must be specifically counseling agencies to referee the parents. These places are making only many parents have gone through them and they fail without a certificate. So when you finish a parent class, get that certificate. Hi, Brandy Lee. Good evening. Brandy's from Wyoming. I'm glad to see you. I am well, thank you. Chew Baby, I didn't ask that. I said only seek private service that can submit to the documents. Okay, Chew Baby. Margaret says the CPS recommends specifically names, the exact locations I am to attend. Then Margaret says, yes, the private investigator that I hired and my attorney's therapist are willing to show up in court. Well, that's good. Chew Baby, no, you're one of the free to ask to seek your court counsel and services or anything else as long as they can update it in court. Now, you are now free will to seek your own counsel and services at any time as long as they can uphold in the court. Agreed, Chew Baby. Good advice. I'm glad you did that. Brandy Lee says, I think I have a great case against CPS, but Mr. Davis has not got a hold of me. Well, you retain him. He will get a hold of you, not to worry. Brandy Lee says, I set it up twice through Grace. Well, you may have to set up 3 times. But you need to speak to your attorney, Mr. Davis. Margaret says, and she had me a hair follicle test. Thank God we always have it in a row. The technician between the uncalfulness is the best results. Okay. Brandon Lee says, I'm making about a new, how to say should be. Okay, Margaret, what are you saying now? I never done drugs. I know that. They have known me on drug testing. I know they were trying to do your hair follicle test. I've never been in domestic violence, and I've taken domestic violence classes. They are nuts. I know they are. They want you to jump through hoops. It's really bad. And Chew Baby says, and one who can submit to you to the private practices, it can be costly, but it will not be thorough through CPS. Yeah, she says you need to do it through private. Now, Brandy says they sent my 7-year-old grandchildren away to a Catholic Hope for Kids. He was assaulted there, his own mom. Well, that's not too good. Margaret says any lawyer would tell you the judge orders it must be done. Yes, agree. A court ordered by a judge, you have to do what they ask. Otherwise, it's contempt of court order. Livingston said things are waiting for the worst be spoken to happen. Margaret says the judge I had was completely biased. That's why I'm in a higher court now. Chew Baby says, well, if it's no judge's order, but it did order your therapist and drug test and such. Katie Upson, thank you for the message, Katie. Love, that's great. You love people. That's super. Katie Upson. Turan, she's from Oakland, California. Good to see you, Turan. She was on this morning. Let me see where. Chew Baby's back in there again. And who can submit to you private? Jamie, a hair follicle test. Thank God 2 days in a row the technician's been unavailable. I don't trust her test results. I asked about a new caseworker and gal, but they said no. They can give you a new one. You got a lawyer. Margaret does have a lawyer. It's Vincent Davis. Chew Baby. I've never been done drugs. They have me drug tested. I've never been in domestic violence, and since I've had to take 2 domestic, they're nuts. I'm sorry you had to. Chew Baby. And one thing you can submit to the private practice, it can be costly. It'll be not through CPS. I know, Mr. Davis, thank goodness. Brandy Leah, my CBIS worker found something to fight us about. Our case plan is done, been done for months. Chew Baby, he hasn't offered advice you of any of this. Brandy Lee, they sent my 7-year-old daughter, grandson, away to a Catholic home for kids. He was assaulted there in their own care. Now, Brandy says, my CPS worker finds out something to fight us about. Our case plan is done and been done for months. And Shoe Baby says, he hasn't advised you of any of this? I don't know if you're referring to Vincent Davis. Brandy, they sent my 7-year-old grandson away to a Catholic home for kids. He's assaulted there in his own room. Margaret says any lawyer would tell you if the judge ordered it, it must be done. Otherwise, there's a contempt of court order. Things are waiting for the word of God to be spoken again. Margaret says the judge I had was completely biased. That's why I'm a higher court now. Chew Baby says, well, if it's a judge's order, but if did he order you therapists and drug testing and such exclusive? And Katie Upson says, love you. And Trent Harrison, hi Bob, happy to be here. And Livingston, God will, God waits, God time. Brandon Lee says, adding he has multiple disabilities, they discriminate against them. Very true. Of B in this domestic family sent court out of the hands of CPS medication. And it says, Margaret King, the basis judge I had adopted to all the CPS recommendations. Therefore, if I became the judge's or the attorney, of nice, I haven't seen you in a while. That's good for you to come into the room. A lot of you are coming in really quick now. Margaret King, the biggest judge I had adapted to all CPS recommendations. Therefore, I became the judge's over at that point. Ordered, Judge Orr, okay. I see, I'm sorry. Margaret King, the judge I had no experience whatsoever. Independency of family law, only in criminal law. I agree, my judge was terrible. Now, Brady Lee says, I'll contact Grace again. Good, Brandon Lee. Please do. Margaret Lee says, it's important to also get to know who the judge is and his background. Okay, D. Okay, now, yes, I do hope everyone wins their fight. Albie, when I look at CPS counsel, it's disgusting. I agree. Lots of prayers, Livingstone. I agree. You should get to know all the people in the case and what your case is all about. Now, my live stream will be over in 20 minutes. It's over at 8 o'clock. So we have about 45 minutes left. Okay, Albie, Margaret King, absolutely. If I get a name, I'll look them up. Where are they from, etc. Good job, Albie. Brandy Leia, I hope someone wins their fight. I hope you all do. Margaret, AIB, when I looked at it, the CPS council, it was disgusting. I know it is. Al B, Margaret King, I have my doubt in that the judges that sit there till the dogs run out and the worst records sit us there. Whew. Whew. Now Margaret says, half of our country CPS workers at the visitor center are 20-year-olds and acting like CPS workers when they're actually just babysitters. I agree with you that we got to do something with the education of the CPS workers. I think it's definitely mandatory, and I think they should be sworn in back in preschool, right, where they're learning all about the education. They can learn so much about how the fishes move, and now we have Taryn Harris here from Oakland. I'm glad you're here too, Terrence. Lots of prayers, Livingston. Never give up. Always fight for the kids. Always fight for the kids. Now, I've been trying to find out some newsworthy incidents that we could talk about on CPS. Now, during the CPS investigation, a social worker will interview the child, the parents, and other adults who live in the home. The social worker will also speak to any witnesses who may have information about the alleged abuse or neglect. Okay, the social worker will use this information to determine whether or not the child is at risk of harm. The social worker has a legal obligation to act in the child's best interests. This obligation means that if your social worker has good faith belief that this is a child, let me see what else I can find in here on the latest news here on CPS. Now in Texas, CPS took this baby away, which is sad because they had the wrong diagnostics. Texas CP took this baby away. And last year, Christmas Eve, Jacqueline Morales Boatwright gave birth to a daughter, Evelyn. It was a traumatic experience. Jacqueline had emergency C-section, and Evelyn was born with bruises and swelling. But the baby pulled through, and Jacqueline and her husband took Evelyn back to their Fort Worth, Texas home. Unfortunately, the Boatwrights returned to the hospital a different one 6 weeks later after baby Evelyn developed some strange twitches and started to vomit. This worried the parents brought her to the emergency room at Cook Children's Memorial Center. The doctors examined Evelyn and took her for testing. Significant, they noted in her record that she brought no signs of abuse or neglect. The hospital ordered an MRI and X-ray. The MRI came back with signs of small brain bleeding, and the X-ray showed an old partial rib fracture that was mostly healed. This led the radiologist to immediately classify Evelyn as a suspected victim of child abuse, even though her injuries were well explained by circumstances since her birth. That's when you should get a hold of your this data started. Oh boy. That led to the radiologist to immediately classify Evelyn as a suspected victim of child abuse, even though her injuries were well explained by circumstances at her birth. That's happening to a similar child in Kern County. I know that one for a fact because they're accused of breaking 11 bones. It wasn't the parents doing it because she had the soft burn tissue, um, and she had rickets, and the child bones were, if you just touch it a certain way, the child bones were broken. So you got to be careful there. Wow, she kidnaps kids. That's terrible, Margaret. She also was a drug addict. Yep. Wow. Yeah, Guardian Light is supposed to assist families and children, but they're not really good because they're listening ears for CPS. Okay. What state is that, Albie? What state are you in? The emergency response to CPS worker that kidnapped my child had one um, had one of her own teenage children in foster care. She was a drug addict as well. That was a emergency response person. That's terrible. Livingston, God loves us so much. Yes, I understand that, Livingston. Margaret, she said she was a stripper in clubs too, and now she goes around kidnapping kids. Well, that's terrible. And what I understand, she's married someone that works at juvenile hall, and her new husband is kidnapping. That's the hard thing is when you have different scenarios, and there are bad people in those scenarios. Now, Margaret says, and from what I understand, she married someone else that works in juvenile hall, and her new husband is kidnapping. Oh, that's terrible. That is so corrupt to hear that stuff. North Carolina, thank you, Albie. I appreciate you telling me you're from North Carolina. You may have told me before, but I forgot. But glad you told me again. Okay, right now we're getting close to the bewitching hour, almost at 8 o'clock. That means I need to sign off soon, in about 5 minutes. I'm going to take my phone number down since no one wanted it, but it'll be available for you tomorrow morning to talk at 10. And if you want to retain Mr. Davis, just call that number between hours of 8 and 10 weekdays and 11 to 1 weekdays. That's 4 hours a day that I'm on talking about clients that want to hire Mr. Davis. All right, now. Yeah, they're a Bonnie and Clyde. That's a good point to put there, Margaret. That's clever on your part. Clever. Now, here's another one from Texas. Took the baby away, a wrongful diagnostic. A judge reunified the Boatwright family last week. Last year on Christmas Eve, Jacqueline Morales Boatwright gave birth to a daughter, Evelyn. It was a traumatic experience. Jacqueline had emergency C-section. Evelyn was born with bruises and swelling, but the baby pulled through, and Jacqueline and her husband took Evelyn back to the Fort Worth home in Texas. Unfortunately, the Boatwrights returned to the hospital, a different one, 6 weeks later after baby Evelyn developed some strange twitches and started to vomit. The worried parents paraded the emergency contact at the hospital. Okay. Now, the hospital ordered a MRI and an X-ray, and they came back with signs of brain bleeding. This was a terrible case in Texas. The parents should never have been brought back to the child. This is why you got to be careful what's out there. You never know for a fact. So that was in Texas. Now, did some of you get your time zones figured out? I know some of you received times to talk to Mr. Davis Filipino time, but that's because they're show producers from the Philippines. And I apologize for any confusion by that. They're 50 hours ahead the next day. So if it's 5 o'clock here, they're 15 hours ahead. It'll be in the afternoon, and it will be maybe 1600 hours, 4 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. But I hope all you got that figured out, because that did seem kind of mind-boggling that you had that situation. You're very welcome, Margaret. Thank you for Livingston for all your love and prayers. God bless you. Livingston is a lot of prayers and love. He's really good. And Albie from North Carolina, wow. You know, all of you are really helping each other. So we have Livingston from Los Angeles, Margaret King from Kern County, California, Albie from North Carolina. Hopefully, I have not forgotten anybody. Okay, now we have the latest person in the room. Whoops, I lost them. Blow for real. I'm a non-offending parent. They're using false prejudice reports. Unfortunately, from the court, taking my grandparents' rights. Grandparents have rights too. You got to remember that. They have rights. And Blow for real, where you from? I forgot where you're from, Blow for real. If you could tell me where you're from. Okay, it's now 8 o'clock. My time is up. I want to thank all the comments by Blow for real. I have no idea where you're from. Margaret from Kern County, California, thank you. Livingston from Los Angeles, California. Al B from South Carolina. And who else left out here? I think that's all the people that have been speaking in here, I think. Oh, Taryn Harris, who's from Oakland, California. That's good to see her here. Brandy Lee, I'm glad that you came in here tonight. So I want to thank all of you for participating in this live stream. I want to see you all tomorrow at 10 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. This is Bob Pace telling you, please keep chasing your child. Don't give up and keep fighting. And God bless you. And I will see you tomorrow. This is Bob.